Okay, welcome as I play, or rather comment on a replay of a match I played of Napoleon Total War. Now, I've been not playing this much, or at all, for several years, but I decided on a whim to get back into it. And I'm quite pleased to see there's still a multiplayer community. So, that being said, I'm going to go ahead here and kind of go over our armies. I'm playing Great Britain, and my opponent, Antinoos, something like that, I believe was my opponent. So, as Great Britain, I have, of course, my general staff. I have 2 King German Legion Lightfoot and 3 regular Lightfoot with a fencible out in front. I've got a King's German Legion, out here on the left, and I've got my 42nd Foot, the Black Watch, in reserve. Additionally, I've got 6 regular foot, 4 dragoons, and King's German Legion light dragoons. My opponent, playing as France, has 5 chasseurs à cheval on his flanks. He's got 2 Old Guard, 1 on each flank. He's got 4 Swiss foot, and he's got 4 chasseurs, and then he has brought 2 6-inch howitzers. Additionally, he's put some experience, as you can see, on said howitzers and on his general's staff. So that's a bit of an interesting move. And already, okay, very early on, there's a bit of action. You can see he's bringing one of his chasseurs à cheval in to kind of do a bit of harassment, I suppose you could say it is. Maybe kind of just a probe to test me. And I immediately just, it's not a problem. I start pulling back my Lightfoot, and he sees that's not going to really be effective and pulls back. No casualties taken there. If I would have been a little bit faster to react, I could have just deployed my Lightfoot in such a way that I got a shot off on him before running off. But no matter. So I'm going to go ahead, and that's the first thing that goes on there. And, to be fair to him, he does disrupt my formation a bit. You can see I'm no longer exactly where I was planned to be, but it's a minimal disruption. I'll eventually get back online, get my fencibles back out front. It's no big deal. And now he starts getting off his howitzer shots, which is fine by me. He's only shooting my light infantry. I can afford for him to do that. Like, they're thinly spread out, and he kind of in some ways has a good idea here, because in a France versus Great Britain game, the advantage that Great Britain has, or one of the main advantages, is, their light foot. They're very good. Not as good as like Prussia or Portugal for that, but they're good. Much better than like the chasseurs or the voltigeurs that France can bring. So I see where he's going with that, but if I were him, I would probably target, you can see already when I've redeployed, I've kind of changed things up a little bit, and I've brought my Black Watch actually into the line here instead of a reserve, so I can lengthen it out a little bit and get these guys out to deal with the cav here. Just because I don't want to have problems with them. Additionally, you can see I've brought my King's German Legion Light Dragoons over to the right instead of the left, because he doesn't really have any infantry out here, so these cav aren't a big threat to my infantry unsupported, whereas here, there might be a bit more of a problem. And there, yeah, he tries to wrap he's trying to, get at my flanks. And I think what he's about to do with these is a big mistake on us, and he has an opportunity here he doesn't take. And I'll let you know about that when the time comes momentarily. But meanwhile, yeah, I just keep pushing up. My lights are taking some damage, that's fine. My fencibles are out here kind of as a shield, but I think he's targeting me well, no, they've taken some damage, my fencibles. Oh, right, so he does a charge here, which was a good idea, but poorly executed. He kind of charged along this axis and came in, whereas what he should have done is come along this way, because my foot got a bunch of shots on him without... Oh, now he's shooting at my Blackwatch too, which that's good for him. But by doing that, yeah, like he kind of screwed himself. Now here, he could have charged these foot, but instead he's trying to do around and do like some sneaky flanking shit. And so I just simply charge my cav at his chasseurs. You see, they don't even get a shot off here, it looks like. And then these other guys start fleeing, and I can bring these foot to kind of support if it comes to it, but they end up not getting involved at all. But they're free to do that because there's no pressure on them. Meanwhile, I continue to push up, and one thing he does is he, of course, his chasseurs are much faster than my heavy dragoons. So he does that and swings these guys around. I think he's trying to ninja my general, so I notice that and move him to the protection of some of my other cav. And also, again, I can pull these infantry back because they're not under pressure. What he should have done is engaged with his infantry first. And yeah, he gets a few shots on my general, but it's not really worthwhile. Then my dragoons just get into combat with his chasseurs à cheval. These ones, they do manage to loop around, and right about when they were here I noticed, but I couldn't get to that square button on time. Still, so then, they charge into that line. I wiped one of his units of chasseurs à cheval, and now all my cav are free to just go and engage his chasseurs here. Alright, I had my fencibles do a bayonet charge on his regular chasseurs, which maybe not the best idea because they're just going to get shot up, but it keeps them from shooting. And here I can just go in and kill his cav. And now he only has the one cav left, which is a big problem. I mean, he's also got his general, I suppose, but he's got his one cav left over here, which, when you're France, if you've lost your cav before Great Britain loses their lights, I think you're probably kind of screwed. And meanwhile, I'm just kind of pushing more infantry into position. And at this point, I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot he can do. I don't really need to engage particularly aggressively. Here I pulled my cav back. What I probably should have done instead is continue charging through here, taking out these chasseurs. They're pretty far out ahead and extremely vulnerable, but it doesn't matter. I shatter them anyway. And here, these chasseurs are pretty far out ahead too. I honestly probably could have charged them, maybe with my light dragoons, especially because they're very fast. Instead, I just take the moment. Yeah, he's getting some shots off on my foot, but I take the moment to just get my army reorganized, get everything in order. And here, I'm kind of watching, and I see he's bringing these cav around. And my plan was to redeploy my line here to protect these guys. I made it a bit of an error here, as you can see. I'll let you see the charge. This, as far as things go, isn't the worst charge. I mean, he does get into my lights, but he gets really shot up. And my line infantry, particularly my Blackwatch here, are able to get in some serious damage. He trades his last cav for one of my Lightfoot. That's probably not a great trade. But as I said, there's not much he can really do at this point. So even though he's pounding me with his howitzer fire, and I mean, they've done pretty good kills. You see, they've each earned an extra tick of experience. But I think a mistake a lot of people make is they get so worried about the artillery fire that they're under. They get rash, they just push up, they try to run their units. Like, you see all my guys, they're, winded, fresh. So, who cares, right? Like, I've taken some damage, but most of my units aren't in such bad shape. You can see, I mean, yeah, some of my cav have taken some stuff. I think he's trying to snipe my general here, perhaps. But he's not killing him. He's in my... And it's not gonna actually rout any units, so I think it's you know, I mean, artillery are nice to have in some cases, but particularly on this map, I think it might be a mistake to bring them. And when the battle's over, I'm going to kind of look at some of the results screen and say why. Now here, oh yeah, he's trying to make an infantry advance. He kind of has to. He has no skirmish. Well, he's got these guys left. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and charge him with Cav. I see he formed square. Very good job there. I tried to redirect, but it's too late. And yeah, he gets squares off on both of these. And I try to get him stuck, but my Cav will rout before that happens. But in the meantime, I mean, I'm getting a bunch of shots off on him when he's in square formation. And I have the Cav to spare. I have the numbers advantage. I'm willing to just trade units to a certain extent. I mean, I can afford it. He can't. So my you know, light infantry just keeps shooting at him there while they're in square formation. And I also take this opportunity to kind of... Oh, I move my line up here, and here's another place where you'll see a bit of a mistake, perhaps. So, with his infantry so close behind his lights, I just get in range to shoot the lights, and the bullets that get past shoot his infantry. Including these old guard. These old guard aren't doing anything. You know, what he needs to do is push these old guard up and fight. You know, push these Swiss foot up and fight. He's got a bunch of infantry here. They're not fighting. He needs to make some kind of move, and he needs to do it. I mean, by now it's too late, but you know, even still, if he's gonna make a move, he needs to use his old guard. He can't just let them sit there and get shot. So now, yeah, now he's moved his old guard up, but it's too late. I mean, look at this. They're torn to shreds. Look at all these dead old guard here. They haven't done anything useful. And you know, I can, if I needed to, I could retreat. I'm not going to though. I mean, it doesn't matter. Oh, here, see, he's very good at getting these square formations done. In this case, I managed to stop my Cav in time, and I think, hey, you know what? Maybe I can get in and take out their artillery. And this is an error, you know. So my Cav are pretty much all gonna die here for, you know, killing one of their one guy on their artillery crew. Good job, guys. Whatever. But the thing is, I can afford to make those mistakes because, oh, and there goes that old guard, because by the time he sends them in, they're unsupported. But I can afford to make those mistakes. For one, I traded them for that Swiss foot, really. By putting them into square, they're especially screwed. But the fact that I lost a unit that I didn't need to, well, that's no big deal. He's, you know, I can afford to gamble units. If I lose one, oh, I'm still way ahead. And if I sound like I'm being overly harsh on this guy, I mean, this was a fun match. I'm not... He wasn't a bad player at all, especially he's got much better reflexes in micro than I have, I think. He hit those squares really consistently when he needed to. But I think he made some macro level mistakes. Particularly, he engaged his Cav way too early. And like, that's in a sense engaging your Cav early. Oh, and here, of course, I can just wipe his cannons now. Like, normally, yeah, one of the things you'll hear is that, like, whoever gets their Cav in first is gonna win, right? But that's assuming that they're supported by your infantry. Like, he should have pushed it, you know, he should have had his old guard get into a shooting match with my infantry and then sent his Cav in. And he could have wiped my units. Whereas here, okay, now his cannons are gone. And I think, oh, and he's coming in, you know, forming a square, that's good. And here I just go ahead and I probably should have pulled back. I try to get his general staff instead. And that doesn't work out too well for me. One of my dragoons start routing, and the other ones are low on morale. Like, at this point I should have tried to save these other ones. But I decided, you know, maybe I can get a rear charge on his general. He notices what I'm up to. He isn't having any of my shit. And he gets his Swiss foot here to shoot my Cav to death. But I shoot them in the back while they're doing that, so... Now we've both lost all our Cav. But mine did their jobs. You know, mine disrupted the enemy at a time when they needed to be disrupted. Whereas, like, my guys, I was able to fight the individual wings of his army one at a time. And now, you know, he's doing a pretty good job of an organized retreat, trying to form a line, but obviously you can see that there's just no hope now. He's he's outnumbered. Like, he's got, you know, a mostly full old guard, but that old guard, it can't do anything on its own. It can't beat all this on its own. He's got this general staff, but, you know, okay, whatever. You know, general staff, that's a support unit. You know, keep your morale up, use inspire and stuff. And in fact, I'll even speed it up a little bit because there's not much to watch here, really. I mean, I guess if you want to get a cool little close-up of the men fighting, you know, each other, I can show that. That's always fun. So now they get, bam, get those shots off. Good job. Oh, yeah, so then that happened. One of my light foot used all their ammo. So I think was it this one maybe, or no, it was, yeah, it was this King German Legion. So I just formed them up into regular infantry mode and, you know, bayonets. And these guys break so they don't actually get into combat with them. And then I have my Black Watch, my brave, you know, Scottish elite Highland foot go in to charge this Swiss foot. Because, you know, bayonet charges are fun. And I have enough men, as I keep mentioning. So yeah, I have them going here. Let's watch the charge. So yeah, I mean, while we're watching this, I guess I can kind of talk about some meta issues my opponent had here. Like I was saying, he didn't have his units support each other. He tried to be sneaky with his cav. And if that works, that's great. You know, that might work against the AI or against an inattentive player, which, to be fair, will sometimes include me. But if it doesn't work, then you're just throwing your cav away. And yeah, so everything's just bayonets here in both areas. His general is in combat. His old guard is in combat. You know, they're performing admirably here. They're certainly, you know, more than a match for my foot. So just to, you know, hold them off a little bit longer. This is around when, where's my general here? Yeah, see, I bring my general up, who has lost most of his staff, to be fair. You know, that shelling helps, but I think shelling the general is a bit of a risky strategy. And, you know, here I just rally this troop, and that gives me time for the rest of these guys to go ahead and come in. I believe, I inspired the Black Watch. Because, you know, I might as well. And I think it's nice and honorable to end it with a bayonet charge when the outcome isn't in doubt, even if it's not the best idea. In this case, you know, it's a fine idea, but in cases where you could more assuredly win quicker by shooting to death, if you know you've won anyway, just bayonet charge, be awesome. Alright, so I think one of the other issues, while, you know, we're seeing the end of the battle, that he made was the way he used his artillery. You know, he did a lot of shooting at my lights, and, well, when I fought this battle, I didn't notice this Swiss foot coming back, I don't think. I don't remember it anyway. But, you know, yeah, see, he just ran away anyway. He knew he was screwed. That's how irrelevant it was. But he didn't target where I think needed to target. At least not at first. And I know, I guess, at first, you know, your first shots are gonna be against the lights because they're out front. But, like, you need to concentrate firepower. So he needed to shoot an area to soften it up, then engage that area with both his old guard. Don't put them on the flanks. And then while the old guard is engaged, get his cav in first. And here, I mean, you look in the battle results, you can see though, like, so he brought those two artillery, and that on its own kind of is a disadvantage. I mean, he killed more of my guys than I killed of his, but I started with a whole lot, you know, 400 more men than he had. So it doesn't matter if he gets like that kind of kill ratio. I just have a huge advantage there, just already. Like, artillery have their uses, but you got to account for the fact that if you bring them, you're gonna have a lot fewer men than your opponent, especially if you bring more cav and less infantry like he did. But anyway, so this is my first battle, really, that I saved a replay of getting back into it. I did a few little skirmishes before this, but I'll probably be doing more of these because I really like this game, and seeing that there's a multiplayer community still makes me really happy. So if you liked this video, please drop me a like, a comment, suggest army builds, suggest things that you noticed that I could improve on my strategy, because I really want to see some love for this game. And until the next battle, I hope you have a good day.